to disallow us to make choices for ourselves. They want us to carry an unviable pregnancy until we are sick enough, until we are septic enough to receive a medical procedure that we have a human right to. Do no harm. That's what doctors pledge to do. But they are now threatened with imprisonment for providing the health care that we are entitled to as human beings. People are dying. Women are being victimized. Both the LGBTQ plus community and the disability community are being victimized and denied needed medication.
Mind if I film you giving a talk?
I don't care.
Okay, well, go ahead. You can just go ahead and whatever it was you were talking about.
Well, we were obviously, I'm here to get people to understand where we are in scriptures and how everything is coming together for the last day events. And they are. A puzzle is coming together. And if all you did was just go back to 9/11 and start piecing the puzzle together, you could figure it out.
Yep.
And the main issue is knowing the end result. The end result says the devil loses. Christ wins.
Yep.
That's him. So then you ask yourself, this murderer that's on parole, what will he try to do to the judge before he gets locked back up?
Yeah.
So you're seeing all these events where basically the devil wants to destroy anything made in the image of God. And to steal as many souls as possible. Right? That's what we're seeing. And when you're looking at the events, which a lot of them are terrible, you know, everything from 9/11 to some current events with people losing their minds, going into a building, just start shooting people, weather events, the worst heat in 2,000 years, hitting countries, areas of water drying up that have been prolific for years, especially out west.
It all I'm going to turn a light on. Is that okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
But everything in weather, and it tells us in the scriptures to look for these things for the last days. And even one of the events with disease as part of pestilence, part of the four horsemen of the apocalypse writing.
Yep.
Myself personally, when that disease came out, I like to decode things. So I just took a word, corona. They said
from
this
the Bible.
Was a coronavirus.
Yep.
And I decoded it. So I wrote it down on a piece of paper, CORONA. I added the letters. There were 6. And then I took the alpha value next to each letter, like C would be 3 and so forth. Added the alpha value right in front of my eyes. It said 666.
Satan.
Yeah, so I knew where it came from. And I knew it was a biological weapon. I know what a biological weapon is. And I asked myself then, why China? So I did something they won't teach you in your school systems in America.
Well, yeah.
I did a study in antiquities on China, where it came from.
Yeah.
And the old sages in China said, the great red dragon came down from heaven to form their country. Now think of it. Everything in China of importance to the government has a red dragon on it.
Yes.
Everything. That tells the story.
Co-ops make up 12% of the total global employed population, and they're examples of successful cooperative regional economies around the world. 2 of note are the cooperative-based regional economies of Montage, Spain, and the Emilia-Romagna region of Italy, both of which were some of the poorest regions of Western Europe 80 years ago. At that time, northern Spain basically had no economy in the aftermath of the Spanish Civil War. I mean, it was more destitute than Appalachia is today, for sure. In the Basque region of Spain, Mondragon employs 200, Mondragon cooperatives, sorry. There are 260 of them, interconnected, sort of a cooperative ecosystem, and they employ about 80,000 people. Mondragon and Emilia-Romagna have the strongest, most sustainable and resilient economies in all of Europe. And it's because of cooperatives. A 2012 publication reads, the Mondragon model, how a Basque cooperative defied Spain's economic crisis. Why is this the case? Co-ops are hybrid organizations that maximize value instead of profit. They are owned, governed, and controlled by their members. They are more resilient than conventional enterprises in times of crisis, thanks to their unique governance characteristics that ensure member centrality.
What happened was people in town, mine workers and the citizens, decided to get out a fire hose and hose them down as they walked through town. Well, that didn't work out so well, and as naturally as things progressed, what happened was insults were thrown, then fists were thrown, then rocks were thrown, and then bullets flew. And that's exactly what happened. And 3 members of this community were shot. And I believe there were 3 killed, if I'm not mistaken. And then the Klan got back on the train after all this, the confusion
and darkness, evil, woe unto you, which decree unrighteous decree. The Word of God says, woe unto you, which decree unrighteous decree. Woe unto the governor of this state, according to the Word of God, to give a proclamation to support the filth and wickedness of this assembly. Woe unto the city of Johnstown. The mayor, God, will bring judgment for support of wickedness. Woe unto the Johnstown School Board, who will cooperate with evil and wickedness for the purpose of polluting the children of our land. Woe unto...
Okay, there's the organizer talking with the police. There's a policeman talking with him right now. Hello.
Violating some law by being right here. You need to say so, and we'll get that straightened out, okay?
So, as we all know, this election is about the countywide elected officials, and also we have a lot of the municipal elections up too. What we've seen across our county is there's not enough people stepping up to fill these positions. And that hurts us because lack of a good government is really, really detrimental to all of us.
When around 2,000 people were forced out of their homes, were forced out of town actually, at gunpoint because of the mayor's racist edict. Our guest speaker, author Cody McDivitt, will give an in-depth presentation about the...
It's hard to research the Underground Railroad because it was a secret. You know, you didn't want anybody to know. So nobody wrote it down. You know, it's really hard to do research. You have to find these little gems to piece together what happened because nobody is publicly saying this. And we know from research that when you were handing someone off, if she was an abolitionist and she was helping a freedom seeker, she would know you. You would know you, but you wouldn't know her. Because at any given time, if somebody would confront you or arrest you or try and get you to tell, the only person you could give up was her.
So yes, hey Hillary, this is Hillary Hawk. She's she's written lots of books set in Italy.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yes, and you lived there for a while. You lived there for several years.
I lived there for 12 years. Yes, near Milan.
Okay, and Okay, and so originally you're from London?
Yeah, originally from London. So growing up in London, and then I moved to Italy, and then I moved to America. So I know a lot about what it's like to move from one country to another. So
And learn new customs.
Yeah, I always end up in my stories. So God from Ashes, a song that starts in Italy and comes to the US, and The Things We Never Have starts in London and goes to Italy. So
So
kind of write what you know, right?
Yes, certainly. So could you ever see yourself writing about like this area?
Well, this book, yes, yeah, this book
Ashes
is
to Song.
Ashes to Song. It's inspired by a true story. So it starts off in Piemonte, and then they land in Indiana County, and then they actually move to Culver.
Oh,
And there's a
okay.
scene right here in Evansburg at the courthouse when somebody gets arrested.
Oh,
Yeah, so
interesting.
yeah, there's a lot about this area, and a lot of people have told me, you know, older people especially, I remember those days, and you really captured, you know,
Yep.
that period. when they're-
Okay. All right. Well, good luck to you.
Thank you so much, and to you, Paul. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, I'm right over there on that table, the yellow table. So okay. So yes, I'm making the rounds, and this will be on YouTube. And
Oh, great.
so
In Bocca Lupo.
grazie.
Hello, my name is Janina Gorman, and I am a member of Put People First PA and a food service worker. I am also the sole provider for my family of 5. As a tipped worker, I make $5 an hour, plus tips. Without Medicaid, there is no possible way I could afford the medical insurance, procedures, or medications that my family needs. My 2 daughters were both born with a severe myopic strabismus. They have both needed multiple surgeries to correct this. Without Medicaid, we would not have been able to afford these surgeries, and both of my daughters would be legally blind now. I am thankful we had and still have Medicaid to cover these surgeries so that my daughters can save their sight.
Wynn uses at this definition of extreme poverty, $1.90 a day for the world. 750 million people as a consequence of all that lack adequate clean water. There are 270 million kids that have no access to health care whatsoever, none. Nowhere to go, no clinics, nothing. 270 million. That's only a fraction, of course, of 8 billion people. Children would make up maybe 25% of that.
You think we should invest in gold?
Oh wait,
You know what the BRICS is? Like Brazil, Russia, India, China. They're moving to create a new financial system, which is good.
Okay.
They don't have all the answers, but they're moving in the right direction. All the
And it's kind of, it's something that I brought October 7th without knowing the background, right? The kind of the historical context. And this is something actually that I think is very important that I do in my own classes, is that like I'm a political scientist, but I have a very historically oriented class. Like the context becomes really important in any crisis that we talk about. And so Palestine is the original name, right, of that place, right? It's not called Israel, it's called Palestine. And so what is now Israel and Palestine, and in some ways there was a British kind of protectorate colony there that includes the country of Jordan as well. And I'll show you another map about that later. It is a region inhabited by Muslims, Christians, and Jews that historically were living in a kind of a checkerboard fashion. They were all living together as Palestinians. And it had been part of the Ottoman Empire. It's kind of the Levant region. And so starting in the 19th century, and influenced by anti-Semitism in Europe, and it's the same strands of anti-Semitism that will lead to the Holocaust, right? You start to see a movement of what's called the Zionist movement of Jewish immigrants pouring into Palestine.
Hello, my name is Summer. Thank you everyone for coming. We will be starting off with a very brief view of the history of Palestine. land held sacred among Christians, Muslims, and Jews, who have lived harmoniously with each other until Israel's violent establishment in 1947, where it forcefully drove out 750,000 Palestinians from their homes. These Palestinians are now living in diaspora and in refugee camps in other countries. Zionist forces have taken more than 78% of historic Palestine, ethnically cleansed and destroyed hundreds of villages and cities, and killed 15,000 Palestinians, and a series of mass atrocities, including more than 70 massacres. Like the hundreds of thousands who were displaced beyond the borders of the state, Israel prohibited internally displaced Palestinians from returning to their homes.
Proposed Senate Resolution SR 21 to create a commission to study this issue, recruit, retrain police, and other law enforcement personnel. So, Senator Langerholtz, would you like to take a few minutes to discuss SR 21 for the audience, please?
Sure. Okay. Everybody hear me? Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Yes, then it does essentially what you said there, to study this issue, because it is an issue of paramount concern. And coming from my background, spending the better part of my career in law enforcement for many years as an assistant district attorney here in Cambria County, we're in dire need to hire and recruit more police officers. I don't think it's any secret what's happening and why anyone would want to go into this profession, seeing the state of affairs, sadly, what is happening across our nation. And
firearms owner, and everybody here obviously is, because you want to learn, right? So you want to be a responsible firearms owner. You want to be good at conflict resolution. Do you know what I mean by conflict resolution? Is there anybody in here who just loses their shit as soon as somebody goes against them? Is there anybody here like that? Come on. They'll come up to me afterwards and tell me, yeah, I'm one of those.
My name is Laura Shadle. I am here for Ryan Bizzarro. Ryan Bizzarro is an award-winning legislator from the famous bellwether of Erie, Pennsylvania. He has served there as a state representative for the past 10 years. He also serves as the policy committee chairman in the legislature and for the House Democrats. And that is a really significant role, because what they've done is actually taken the policy committee to all communities all across Pennsylvania and gone in and said, what is happening here and what can we do to see what we can take back to Harrisburg and craft legislations that will then suit your needs the best. He also, in his statewide leadership, played an integral role in ensuring that in 2022 we flipped the House back to Democrat for the first time in over a decade.
Union community was invoked, and it really boiled down to three different components, which we sort of coined mutual commitment, commitment to the group and the collective, the union, and one another. Historical awareness, so the idea that people were connected to the past and the labor movement and the achievements that had been created through through the advocacy of the labor movement and previous generations. And then occupational pride, so a sense of dignity, a sense of pride derived from one's work, whether that was in the steel mills or with the building trades, one's pride in one's craft. And what one was doing with their hands generally. So those three things kind of came together to form what we, when the union man or this sort of union identity was talked about, it was usually in reference to one of these or multiple of these core tenets. So someone would say, oh, he's a true union man, he'll be a great delegate to our convention. When they would go on to explain what that meant, it was generally pulling on one or more of these types of identities.
We delivered the largest increase in education funding in our Commonwealth history last year. We provided universal free breakfast for every student here in Pennsylvania because no child should have to learn on an empty stomach.
My name is Paul Ricci. I'm with Allegheny Independent Media. And you're with a group called Badge?
Yes.
Okay, you're saying helping to protect those who protect us. So you advocate for the police?
Yes. All money, all proceeds that we take in, we buy either equipment or training that a municipality may not be able to afford.
For police officers?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Well, have a nice day.
You too. Thank you.
Okay, so you're here with the University Pittsburgh Pride?
Yes. Well, yeah, I'm representing our Gender and Sexuality Alliance Club.
Okay. Do you have a large group on the campus, UPJ campus?
It varies. They get about 20 to 30 people at their meetings for their activities and things, yeah.
Okay.
I'm one of the co-advisors.
Oh, you're in faculty? Then to ride up. Hello. Hello.
Long way to the top.
Sure is.
We drive all.
Oh, sorry.
Hey, once you're in that saddle, climb it. Climb at him.
Fire truck coming.
Oh, there's folks down here.
Bringing their baby. Big truck flag.
First, my grandfather was a pinner. That means he was the first man to enter a new seam of coal after the blasters had blown a hole through it. His job was to crawl into the hole and hammer in a series of wooden posts to hold up the ceiling, which was usually no more than 3 feet high. Above his head were thousands of tons of coal and rock, enough to crush him and his entire crew in a couple of seconds. Now, besides the imminent physical danger, think about the sense of confinement those men must have felt, the physical discomfort of working on your hands and knees for 10 hours straight, and of course, the absolute darkness.
We were failed by the man sitting in the Oval Office. I was in those rooms. I saw firsthand the reckless decision-making, the chaos, the chaotic disregard for truth, and most disturbingly was the personal ambition being put ahead of the safety and security of all of you. When it came to disaster relief, this is a man who sat on these disaster declarations. He would sit on them for days. If there was a California wildfire, oh, that's a blue state.
Hello.
How you doing today?
You're here. Looks like is it a good turnout here?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think we've done pretty good. Yeah.
You know about how many?
Earlier, I know that was when I left. It was like at 390.
voters, but I've been gone for about 2 hours, so I don't know how
So-
much traffic has been gone.
Could be
through.
closer to 500.
I would hope.
It's about 550.
About 550. All right,
Okay.
that's not terrible.
And I'm sure the rush will come in for
That's where I'm gonna hang out here
for people coming from work.
Yeah, that's why I came back at 5 for. I don't know where they are right now. I just texted them to see where everybody else. I saw some of the kids going to the house.
Well, last election, even though it was a mid-term, we came close to breaking a record. We had about 800 some people.
Wow.
Okay.
We are really looking.
Meaningful activities happening in the near
question
future.
here. Is there a question?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
I found out about this through the Unitarian Church while grieving, obviously, the election. And I was like, okay, I want to get more involved in local community and make an impact where I can. And I was sharing it with my friends, and it was brought to my attention that there was a board member here who had like domestic violence charges against him and pursued, like, I don't know, I was reading about like a course for it. And I think with the state of the political climate, with electing a president who also has those allegations and has done that, it brings me like a level of uncertainty in being in a space like this. So I don't know if you could offer any reassurance or know anything about that.
Yeah, I guess the only reassurance is I stand very strongly behind all our board members and the work they've done, and I guess that's all I would want to comment.
So you feel like,
I feel really strongly about our board members, yeah.
even if
Yeah, I think, yeah, so
Yeah, I don't. And I feel like a lot of us don't.
So you're...
we just have a president who was elected to the highest place in the country who is a convicted rapist. And having someone who has had domestic violence charges pressed against him and broke his wife's collarbone.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
So I
And my
hear
friends
you.
didn't even want to come. Like, so I'm sure we all feel this way, that we want to have our energy put into something positive and we want to change things.
Sure.
And we don't feel comfortable coming to a place that has someone like that in charge.
So
even if, as you say, I know the allegations were dropped. That's not because it didn't happen. It was because she didn't want him to lose his job.
So like I said, the board has come together on a slate of nominations, and that's it right there. If you are interested in supporting that slate of nominations, that's fantastic. I invite you.
Feel this way
I certainly do. I've got eyes wide open. I'm relatively close to the scenario, and close enough that I feel kind of awkward talking about it right now. The point is, this board feels very confident about this slate. If you're not confident about it, then
Then you don't want our support.
Then
you don't want us involved.
You can nominate a different board.
Quite relevant that they're bringing something.
Thank you.
I'll be honest with you, I'm not aware of it. I didn't know about that.
Okay.
So as someone on that slate, I would like to talk to you privately.
Yeah, for sure. And I'll just say I'm willing. I'm really interested in being treasurer. I have a really extensive finance and accounting background, both for profit and for nonprofit organizations. A lot of board experience as well. So I did plan on putting my name up, and it's specifically I'd be going against said domestic abuser, but. I know, like, my friend Jerry Ann is interested in potentially being on the board, but she won't be if he's on as well. I'm really interested in this organization, this community, and so just mentioning that I hope I can get your support. And I think just generally for the public, there are a lot of people who are aware of these arrests and allegations and things, and I do think that, again, I may be a better choice.
So I appreciate it. I would definitely suggest put your name, become a member, put your name in the slate of nominees. At the end of the 6 rounds, we'll come back together. We'll probably have slate of nominations. What we've done before is we've had anybody who was interested in the organization was able to sort of join on, and so all the folks there have been kind of vetted by the current board. So those folks will be on there, and then if you guys are decided to become members, then fantastic.
We are members.
Fantastic. So you can vote for other ones.